This is Marshall, and I met him last night in a hotel bar in Las Vegas, where he generously offered to take me out into the desert the following day to a remote and secret location. And so naturally, I assumed he was a serial killer, and for protection, I figured I would bring along someone much more dangerous. You guessed it, my stalker Amanda. Now, as it turned out, Marshall was just a nice guy trying to do me a favour, so I did feel bad for doubting his intentions.
It's fairly easy going on this trail. I mean, we're not having to walk far. We're just having to bushwhack a tiny bit, but we're here within 2 minutes.
And what an amazing landscape it turned out to be.
Pasting a few dinosaurs.
I'm the dinosaur.
Now, I would love to share the name of this location with you, but the people who told me about it, well, they made me promise not to mention the name because it's a very fragile area, so please forgive me for keeping that promise.
Well, we've been here 20 minutes and already it's a challenge. Marshall warned me, he said, it's going to be one of those places where you can't see the wood for the trees, and he's right. It's compositions galore, and it is so complex and so detailed. There's so much volume that I really don't know where to start. And I reckon we've got maybe 2 to 3 hours of light before the sun has set, and then you get that afterglow if we're lucky. So I've got quite a bit of time, but I just know it's going to be a bit of a struggle to pick one particular composition, even maybe 2 or 3. I think when the light finally does kick off, I know I'm going to be running around like a headless chicken in a state of panic, but that is one of my favourite states to be because that means the light is good and you've got great material to work with. So I'll keep hiking through and see if the composition reveals itself. I think there's a good chance that it will.
I love to seek out alien landscapes and otherworldly locations. Can you imagine being a landscape photographer on an alien planet? The shots that you would get? Well, sadly, it won't happen during my lifetime, so I'll just have to content myself with this wonderful planet we call Earth.
Okay, so for the last few days, I've been trapped in Las Vegas doing an F4 project with Nick Page, Thomas Heaton and Adam Gibbs. And we've had a brilliant time, we've had a blast, we've got some amazing footage and some amazing shots, but I did not really enjoy being trapped in Vegas with all of the noise and the cigarette smoke and the chaos and the people. So for me today, I finally feel like I've escaped all of that. I've finally come to somewhere spectacularly beautiful, peaceful, tranquil and no people. We pretty much have the whole place to ourselves, and I really needed this. I really did. So I'm really quite drawn to this one because I just love windows or frames or arcs. And I think as the light gets lower in the west, this whole underside will probably start to glow with that setting sun. So I'm going to log this spot in memory and come back to this one. This is kind of a safe bet. But I'm going to continue looking for other options. If I don't find anything better, this is nice to have in my back pocket, but I suspect I'll find a few of these and I might be spoilt for choice pretty soon. It's just unbelievable. And I think I'm so inspired by these types of places, often that can be found in the United States, because I grew up in England. And even though we have lots of history and a completely different landscape, there's lots of green, there's lots of forests, it's beautiful, don't get me wrong. But whatever you're most used to, whatever you grow up with, you tend to not just take it for granted, but you tend to get a little bit bored of what you see most often. And this is like being on a different planet. So for me, the novelty and the excitement of places like this, which, like I said, you get a lot of in the United States, it just fascinates me. It's a playground. This is a photographer's playground. So the first thing that Marshall warned me about when we first arrived was just how fragile all of these structures are, especially with a man of my considerable girth. If I was to stand on these, it would collapse pretty rapidly. And apart from my own well-being, I don't want to get hurt, but I also don't want to destroy these things any sooner than they are going to crumble anyway. I don't want to mess things up or damage the environment, so I'm being really careful where I put my extremely heavy footprints. But this particular angle I kind of like, because I love how the setting sun is lighting up all of these walls with this lovely orange glow. But I also love that in the background you've got these mountains which are also catching that light. So that's a fairly safe shot to get, but the best of the clouds are in that direction. And it looks like on the horizon there's nothing blocking the sun. So I don't want to say for sure, but I think it's a fairly safe bet to assume that when it sets, all of this huge cloud bank that's behind the camera right now facing south is going to light up. So as pretty as that is, I think I need to devote my compositional minutes to shooting in that direction, which I've already found a couple of comps that I think are going to work. So this is as far as I'm going to go on this north end of this plateau. Now I'm going to head back to where I started, have a second look at some of those compositions and start to get ready, because I think I've got 25 minutes and that sun's going to drop and these clouds are going to ignite. So I want to be ready for that, but I'm getting rather excited. The other problem that I'm struggling with these formations is scale, because unless you put somebody in here, you've got no clue as to just how big these shapes are. And some of the most ornate ones are actually really tiny. They're like 1 foot tall, but with a wide angle lens you can make them look huge. But I definitely don't want to just put a person in the shot just for scale. And I guess it's almost irrelevant because it's such a bizarre alien landscape. What is the point? But maybe I can use that to my advantage. Make something small look huge. No dirty jokes.
In the blink of an eye, the light began to kick off, and I was wasting precious minutes hunting for compositions. Everywhere I turned, there was another spectacular rock formation to distract me and make me second guess my ideas for shots.
So I've come back to that first composition that caught my eye, and I've timed it badly. I thought I had a little bit more time, but this cloud came out of nowhere and just has completely blocked the sun. So all of those lovely glowing edges that I was hoping to capture, well, they're gone. But there's still not enough cloud to completely eradicate any chance of all of these clouds lighting up. I think there's still a good chance that that might happen, and then we'll get a much softer glow on all of this rock, and obviously a bit of light reflected from the clouds directly above, which is my favorite kind of light. But with these surfaces, I was looking forward to getting that lovely glow on the underside, but it's not going to happen, so I'll have to rethink my composition slightly. So what I've gone for with this composition is actually, and I've been doing this a lot on this trip, it's actually a pano. So I'm thinking of setting up a 4-shot vertical pano. So I'll actually turn the camera vertical and I'll shoot this on the right side and I'll sweep through this scene. But a lot of it depends on what the clouds do. So if the clouds don't really light up, let's say they light up in a different direction, then I'll let go of that concept and I'll move around and try and include those clouds. And that's something that I've talked a lot about on this trip, is adapting to the light. So whatever the light will do, you might have your composition set, and I always do try to stick to the composition because that's what I've worked hard for. But if the light is doing something completely different in a different direction and you're able to, then move around and recompose and get a completely different shot. Try not to be too married to one idea that you can't let go of. But I will be a bit sad to let go of this composition because I really like it. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed that I get that light that I want. Oh man, maybe I spoke too soon. That's a lot of cloud. Where did that come from? That wasn't there 5 minutes ago. Oh man. What do you think, Ryan?
How'd you know I was there?
I could smell you.
But just when I'd given up all hope, a tiny gap in the clouds opened up and the sky began to glow. So even though it was a mad scramble, I was happy with how this shot turned out. And what I learned about a place like this is that in order to be ready for when that good light comes, you have to find a series of compositions that allow you to shoot in any direction. I guess I'll just have to go back. Oh, is that your new lens?
Yeah, it is.
What is it?
100 to 400.
Oh, sweet. Can I borrow it?
Yeah.
For a few hours? Oh, look. Oh, it's a bit dirty. You haven't really looked after it that much, but that is...
Have I showed you my new shirt yet? Do you like it? There's one big U and then a whole bunch of little U's. Do you like you?
What's
not to like, really?
It's a bit graphic, isn't it?
Well, if you don't like that, there's also this in the back.
So you paid your licensing fee for that image, did you? Because I don't remember it.
No, I thought I could just have it.
It doesn't work like that. No. I mean, my attorney's going to be in touch about the licensing fee, and then there'll be a different lawyer in touch about the restraining order. Hold it like this. Yeah, it's like this for a reason.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's good to know.
Yeah. No one's gonna believe this shit, are they? When did you get that done?
Like, same time I got the lens. It was like a package deal. The big one?
Come on.
It's got one big U and then a whole bunch of little U's. Do you like you? Oh, there's even a backside. So, like, when I walk away from you, you can still see me. See you.